Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to test flight number 46 in the conversion effort to Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020. It has been a whirlwind journey. There are a ton of moving parts to this project. And dare I say, I've only just started. For a simulator that was built for X-Plane since version 10, there's a lot to untangle. And in the interim, while I am still able to fly, I have to use several interim components, and I'll explain those when we get in the air. So for now, we're going to set the flaps to take off. We're going to release the parking brake using the keyboard. We'll line her up. And here we go. Rolling, rolling, rolling. It's taken me a little bit of time to get used to this new perspective. It is very difficult, to say the least. Okay, there's V1. We'll rotate. I don't have roll trim, so that's another interesting issue. Try to raise the gear. Gear appears to be going up. Cabin got a lot quieter as a result. We will raise the flaps and we'll start our right-hand turn. We're going to go over from SeaTac to Payne Field. Kilo Papa Alpha Echo. At dusk. I think this really shows off the simulator. And while we're en route, I can explain a couple things that's going on here. I think the first and the easiest thing to explain is I have 12 microcontrollers that I need to convert. That's going to be the most difficult part. And the most important ones are going to be these two units, the Garmin GMXs and the Avidyne Autopilot. As far as the scenery, it is just gorgeous. Can't complain about the scenery, not at all. The pitch trim works. I may end up replacing a lot, maybe a couple of my TC microcontrollers that control things like the roll trim and the rudder trim. I may replace those with Leo Bodner cards, because that seems to be a universal interface. So what we're doing now is we're heading northeast to Payne Field. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going, because my autopilot doesn't work yet. That's actually run off of a TC microcontroller, which I have not converted yet. So let me show you something real quick. We're going to show the iPad, and that should look familiar to everybody. That's Navigraph. However, what we have here is something called Remote Flight. This is my stand-in whilst I get my TCs converted over. The other issue that I'm having trouble with is my Flight Illusion radio stack. The engine gauges work perfectly. I was really surprised. They worked out of the box, no calibration whatsoever required. They behave a little differently, but I think that's only because I'm used to the 1900, not the King Air 350i. But the transponder doesn't work. It works in X-Plane with no configuration, but it doesn't work in 2020, so I've sent a support email off to Flight Illusion to see what's going on there. I'm sure I'm not the only customers who complain about that. Now, to substitute my transponder, I've got this little applet on my iPad called Remote Flight Radio, and I can punch in any transponder code I want. I can also set my autopilot to whatever I want. So we're going to climb up to 3,000 feet, actually 2,500 feet. We're going to do a vertical speed of, let's go 500. Turn on the autopilot. Turn on the altitude hold, and the airplane will climb out. I can set my heading. We'll set that to 340. Turn on heading, and she will track. Pretty cool that I can do this. And in fact, if I change something like the VS, it's automatically updated in my Avidyne PFD, which is kind of cool. So I'm going to ramp that up to about 1,000. We'll pitch up a little bit more. Flaps are in, gears tucked in. None of these things work here. All my switchology's dead except for the landing gear, avionics, and battery. Everything else is dead until I get to programming it. So we're climbing up to 3,000 or 2,500 feet on a heading. Our heading's changed a little bit. No, I want a heading of 340. I'll take 341. That'll work. So now we can go over to Navigraph to see if I'm tracking correctly. And it appears I am. So we're going to go past. There's Payne Field. We're going to go past Payne Field. We're going to come back in on 34 right. So far so good on the conversion effort. There's a couple of issues that I'm a little unsure about, like the transponder. That kind of bugs me. That's not a cheap radio. I had an issue earlier with the navigation frequencies not porting over to the Avidyne PFD, but I got that worked out because there's a plugin that I had to install from Flight Illusion into the simulator, and now all my radios work, except for the transponder. My Garmin 430 unfortunately is dead. I'm waiting for Reality XP to publish an update. Hopefully that'll come soon. Not sure when that'll happen. But you can't see it here. But one of the coolest things that I love about 2020 is I can almost turn off the forward view, the forward cockpit, the MIP, everything else. But I can still have my engines visible, which is really cool. The other thing I have a problem with is I cannot get rid of the windshield wipers. I'm not sure if they're coming through on the stream. Let me see if I can turn that off real quick. I'll hide iPad. So you see over here in the right window, the right forward window where the co-pilot sits, is a set of windshield wipers. I can't turn those off. I don't know where that file is. I don't know what to do with it. If I did find it. So this will be an interesting little endeavor. All right, we're coming up in Everett now. I can see Hat Island. I can start making out some of the features of Payne Field. I can see some blue taxi lights. And one thing I've learned is, also I forgot to mention, this is the default King Air 350i in 2020. However, I installed a modification from a company called Black Square. And I have to say, it is, if you are a fan of the King Air family in 2020, the Black Square mod add-on is a must-have. The flight dynamics are awesome, and granted, I've never actually flown a King Air 350, so I don't really know what it feels like, but it flies like a dream. It tends to float a little bit on landing, but I think that's only because I'm getting a ground effect and I'm not really used to the numbers yet. So eventually I'll get that figured out. And I can tell looking at my display here, my video feed, that I have the region of interest for my NDI a little too high up into the sky, and you can barely see any of the ground. So hopefully I can fix that. The other thing that works is the Sim Innovations stuff. My G5 ND and PFD are all displayed correctly. Didn't have to change a thing for that, so that was pretty cool. All right, we just crossed Payne Field. We're going to head over to Hat Island here. That's where we'll start our turn, and it is just gorgeous, unbelievable. I actually feel like I'm flying in Snohomish County. And it's so awesome. I can look out the side windows. I can see the engines. That's a great effect. I just have to get rid of the windshield wipers. I don't know how to do that yet. I'm hoping somebody out there in the Flight Simulator world has done that and can help me out. All right, there's Hat Island. We'll go ahead and slow her down. All right, let's see if we can change views here. I'm going to go to, let's see what that view looks like. That's all right, not bad. That's okay. That's all right. That's not good. Oh, not that one. Okay, we're going to go to this one. All right, we're slowing down. I'm going to turn off the autopilot, and I can do that by going back into remote flight, powering everything off. And now we start our turn. There we go. Try to maintain 2,500 here. Look at how pretty that is. Oh my God. Oh, that is the stall horn. Get those engines back up to where they need to be. Okay. I had to turn off the avionics for a second to reset the autopilot. Another little issue I need to work out. Not really a big deal. I feel like I'm fighting it though. I feel like I'm fighting the autopilot. Because when I come out of the turn, what does she want to do? She wants to bank right towards the heading. So I'm going to turn on the autopilot. There we go. Okay, so I had to turn everything back on the radio stack and then manually turn off the autopilot. So that seems to work things out. There's 3-4 right for Payne Field. Drop the gear. Gear's coming down. You can hear the extra wind noise in the cabin. Set flaps to approach. Watch my airspeed. Watch my engines. The 350i, I don't know if it's because I'm not used to flying it or what, but she is a handful. If it hadn't been for this black square mod, I don't know if I would have pursued converting to 2020. As it stands, I cannot use X-Plane 12 for various reasons, which I won't go into here. But yeah, I can't use X-Plane 12, unfortunately, because there's some third-party middleware that needs to be updated, and there's no indication from the program owners that that's going to happen. And when you look at Twitch, when you look at everybody streaming aviation on Twitch or flight simulation, nobody is streaming X-Plane anymore. Everyone's streaming 2020. So here we go. And another thing I'm trying to get used to is I am back into an old habit of doing torpedo or cruise missile approaches to runway. So I can see the VASI lights. I've got 4 reds. Let me see if I can climb up here a little bit. I'm at 900 feet. I should be a little higher. Let's see where I'm at now. No, I still got 4 reds. So yeah, it's a completely different sim for me. I don't know if X-Plane has let me develop bad habits or if I've just developed them on my own. I have a feeling it's been all on my own. Still 4 reds. Right, we're gonna go full flaps. Bring the airspeed down a little bit. Wow. Still, okay, here we go. Now we got 1 white. There we go. Okay, that looks a little better. Let me throttle up just a little bit. Don't want to get the airspeed down too far. Let everything bottom out. The perspective in 2020 is a little different. It doesn't have the fine controls that X-Plane does to shift your lateral field of view. You just rotate your field of view in 2020. That helps a little bit, but it does throw your perspective off. Okay, gears down, flaps down, we're all set. Let's bring this puppy in. There's the float. There we go, touchdown. Woo, a little squirrely on the rudder, still trying to get used to that. There we go. Brakes are on. Brakes are really grabby in this aircraft. I don't know if that's entirely accurate, but I'm going to go with it. This is the closed runway at Payne Field that I'm currently taxiing on. I'm sure they love me for that. I will probably later on today start looking at some add-on scenery. I do miss the Drzecki scenery for X-Plane in the Seattle-Tacoma area, so I'll probably look that up and see if I can get that installed. But for now, this concludes test flight number 46, I think I said. So we're going to go ahead and cross this line, and we'll hit the parking brake. I think we can kill the engines. Or maybe not. I can kill the avionics, that's for sure. Yep, I don't have the mixtures set quite accurately yet on this puppy. So, okay, that concludes this flight. Thanks for joining. We will see you next time.